What's the definition of a megalith? If we're sticking to the textbook, it's a massive stone that forms part of an ancient monument. But putting it in such dry language dulls the sense of awe we feel when we see one up close. Megaliths were either crafted or repurposed by our ancient ancestors for reasons we can hardly even begin to comprehend. You'll find them all over the planet Earth, and you'll also find the most massive and unexplained of them here in this video. The Forgotten Stone. Anyone heading to the city of Baalbek in Lebanon will come face to face with monoliths of jaw-dropping scale. The stones of Baalbek are scattered across the landscape, left behind during their journey to the Temple of Jupiter, which lies over half a mile away. Among these behemoths rests one of the most astonishing pieces of ancient engineering ever attempted by human hands, and this is none other than the Forgotten Stone. Every stone around Baalbek is massive, but the Forgotten Stone redefines the word enormous. It's half buried next to another colossal block called the Stone of the Pregnant Woman. The Forgotten Stone stretches 55 feet long, 20 feet wide, and 18 feet tall. Because part of it still lies underground, archaeologists can only estimate its weight, but even then, they believe it tops out at a staggering 1,650 tons. Even without the stones, Baalbek would still be a place of mystery. Though the Romans are credited with building the Temple of Jupiter, many believe the platform beneath it predates them by centuries. The Romans called it Heliopolis after conquering the region, but it was likely the Phoenicians who first settled there more than 3,000 years ago. Baalbek is even mentioned in the Bible under the name Monoliths, where it's said to have been rebuilt by none other than King Solomon, and you can read the Bible to verify it. Yet the massive foundations under the Roman temple remain a mystery to this day. It's believed the Romans carved the Forgotten Stone, but why they abandoned it is still unclear. Its size alone makes moving it a nearly impossible task, even today. Experts still argue over how Roman engineers ever planned to transport it. The answers, like the stone itself, may be lost forever beneath the sands of time. The Rock Ship of Masuda. The Rock Ship of Masuda, known in Japanese as Masuda no Iwafuni, is a puzzling stone formation nestled in the village of Asuka in Japan's Nara Prefecture. This region is recognized for its keyhole-shaped earth mound monuments, which trace back to the era spanning 250 to 552 AD. Yet, the Rock Ship of Masuda stands out due to its distinctive makeup and unclear origin. The rock itself is a colossal slab of granite, measuring roughly 36 feet in length, 26 feet across, and 15 feet high, estimated to weigh around 880 tons. While its purpose remains a mystery, the stone was clearly fashioned with deliberate intent. Its top surface has been flattened, and two square cavities have been precisely chiseled into it, with a raised ridge running parallel between them. At the base, L-shaped cutouts are visible, likely remnants of the techniques used to smooth the sides. Nicknamed the Rock Ship for its ship-like silhouette and former proximity to the now-vanished Lake Masuda, the monolith's exceptionally hard surface makes it incredibly challenging to carve. Experts consider this a feat of ancient engineering. At first glance, when you look at it, this granite giant doesn't seem out of place. Masuda has stood for over 1,000 years and is surrounded by burial mounds. Yet, this monolith doesn't serve as a grave marker, which raises a lingering question: who created it and for what reason? Some researchers suggest it was meant to signify a massive burial tomb, though no remains have been discovered. Locals believe it functioned as a Buddhist shrine, though that's difficult to confirm, as the stone lacks features typical of ancient religious sites. Another theory proposes it was used for tracking celestial events. The carved ridge aligns with nearby mountain ranges and coincides with sunset on a significant farming date marking the start of the growing season. A final idea is that the Rock Ship of Masuda was carved to pay tribute to Lake Masuda, which vanished due to modern development. Despite these varied interpretations, the real reason behind the creation of the rock ship remains buried in the past. It's a big stone mystery. The unfinished obelisk. Well, let's head over to Egypt. Roughly 3,400 years ago, ancient Egypt was ruled by the great female pharaoh Hatshepsut. During one of the Nile Valley's golden eras, she ensured her legacy would be remembered through grand construction projects. But one of these massive undertakings remains a puzzle to this day: the unfinished obelisk. Still lying incomplete in the granite quarries of Aswan, the unfinished obelisk would have stood an impressive 137 feet tall had it been completed. That would have made it the tallest obelisk in Egyptian history, soaring 30 feet higher than any other. This towering monument, weighing an estimated 1,200 tons, was most likely intended to commemorate a major event or honor a significant figure. Why did Hatshepsut commission such an enormous piece of stonework remains completely unclear. The project was abruptly halted when a fatal crack formed in its base during carving. As a result, the obelisk was never detached from the bedrock and was left behind without the traditional hieroglyphic inscriptions seen on other finished obelisks. Its lack of decoration robs historians of the usual clues. There are no texts, no dedications, and no hints about who or what it was meant to glorify. However, what the obelisk does offer is a rare behind-the-scenes look at how these ancient stone giants were actually crafted. Some scholars suggest the unfinished obelisk was meant to accompany the Letteren obelisk, the tallest ever erected and now standing at Karnak Temple. But there's a tint problem with that theory. The Letteren obelisk was built after Hatshepsut's death, and there's no record of any long-term project planned in her honor involving both structures. Theories persist as they always do, but until solid documentation surfaces, the true story behind Egypt's tallest ever obelisk will stay buried in silence. The broken menhir of Ergra? Well, this is just brain-blowing. Across the sea in Brittany, France, lies one of the most extensive Neolithic sites on Earth. In the middle of a quiet field sits a fractured giant, a monument to the determination and skill of Stone Age builders, the broken menhir of Ergra. Had it remained standing, the manor would have soared above the landscape at 69 feet in length, weighing close to 350 tons. It was crafted way back in 4500 BCE and still holds the title of the largest known piece of stonework made by Neolithic people. The broken manor is part of the Loch Mariaker megaliths, a site even older than Stonehenge by about 1,000 years. It's a quiet yet powerful reminder of just how capable our ancestors were. Not far from it is a 460-foot-long tumulus passage grave, built around the same time, which still holds the bones of domesticated cattle, buried in earth for reasons we may never fully understand. Joining this passage is the Merchant's Table, a Stone Age tomb fashioned out of the remains of the collapsed manor. Both the passage and the tomb were finished using pieces of the broken column, meaning they were constructed after the manor had already fallen. But that leaves two questions. Why was such a big monument built in the first place, and what brought it down? There are faint carvings on the surface, symbols that might depict plows, but centuries of erosion have made them nearly impossible to interpret. One theory suggests the monument was deliberately destroyed, maybe by a rival tribe or people who were offended by its meaning, but geologists think otherwise. They believe a powerful earthquake struck the region, shattering the stone into 4 heavy fragments as it collapsed. But as we know, they are all just theories. No one on this holy earth knows why ancient people built it and for what. What do you think about it? The Gate of the Sun. While trekking through the Bolivian highlands in the 1860s, Ephraim George Squire came across a jaw-dropping discovery. Hoping to find Incan artifacts, the American diplomat and explorer instead stumbled upon the remains of a forgotten civilization. Sitting over 12,000 feet above sea level near Lake Titicaca, Tiwanaku spans nearly 1.5 square miles and is scattered with the remnants of ancient architecture and sacred relics. Towering over the site is its most complete structure, the enigmatic Gate of the Sun. Measuring close to 10 feet tall, 13 feet across, and weighing around 10 tons, the Gate of the Sun was carved from a single solid block of stone. 48 figures are etched into its surface. 32 of them appear human, while the remaining 16 have the heads of condors. All eyes face a central figure, an imposing man wielding staffs that symbolize rain and lightning. He's believed to represent the sun and may even be a creator god. No one knows exactly what the gate was meant for. Some scholars argue it functioned as a calendar, while others believe it served an astronomical purpose. Part of the confusion lies in its location. Studies suggest the gate didn't originally stand where it does now. It was likely re-erected by European explorers who found it toppled in the 1800s. The mystery of the Gate of the Sun only deepens when you consider the people who built it. At its peak between 500 and 900 AD, the city of Tiwanaku was home to nearly 20,000 people and served as the heart of the Tiwanaku Empire, which stretched across western Bolivia from 600 to 1000 AD. Despite their grand cities and remarkable stonework, the Tiwanaku people left behind no written records. What we do know comes from the Inca, who were deeply influenced by Tiwanaku culture and carried many of its gods and beliefs forward. Spanish conquistadors encountered remnants of this lost world while chasing the Inca southward. Chronicler Pedro Cieza de León even included the ruins of Tiwanaku in his writings. Yet, the Gate of the Sun isn't the only marvel the city has to offer. Tiwanaku also boasts the Puma Punku, or Gate of the Puma, a vast ceremonial site stretching 550 feet wide by 380 feet long. With 65-foot wide projections on its north and south ends, Puma Punku must have been a spectacle in its day. Adorned with polished metal, decorated fabrics, and intricate ceramics, it likely hosted Tiwanaku's elite clad in fine garments and jewelry. Historians are confident that the city's people built both the Gate of the Sun and Puma Punku with their own skills. Still, public theories drift into more imaginative territory. Some claim such grandeur was only possible with the help of giants or visitors from the stars. These ideas, like many others surrounding ancient wonders, lack evidence. But in the absence of a written legacy from the Tiwanaku people, every theory about the Gate of the Sun and its surrounding ruins remains just that, a theory. Deer stones. Across the remote steppe of Mongolia and parts of Siberia stand over 1,200 ancient stones, each one carved with haunting precision. Known as deer stones, they're named after the elegant images of flying deer that adorn many of them. These stones aren't small markers. They range from 3 to 13 feet tall, often arranged in clusters, and date back more than 3,000 years. Most historians link them to Bronze Age nomads, though nobody knows exactly which culture created them. While deer are the most common motif, many stones also feature elk, warriors, weapons, sun symbols, and even what may be early depictions of the moon. The craftsmanship is detailed far beyond crude etching, suggesting that whoever made them took their time and had serious skill. Because of that, many archaeologists believe the stones were erected to honor powerful figures like tribal chiefs or fallen warriors. Others suggest a spiritual function, possibly guiding souls into the afterlife or serving as territorial markers. Whatever their original meaning, they remain some of the most poetic and enigmatic artifacts left behind by the ancient steppe civilizations. Avebury Henge. Before Stonehenge stole the spotlight, there was Avebury. Tucked into the English countryside, this massive stone circle dwarfs its famous sibling in size. Originally made up of around 100 standing stones, it once enclosed two smaller circles and was part of a much larger ceremonial landscape. Built and modified between roughly 2850 and 2200 BCE, Avebury's scale suggests it held serious meaning for the Neolithic communities who gathered there. We still don't know what happened inside its boundaries. Some experts think it was used for religious rituals, others believe it served as a gathering space for seasonal festivals. Despite years of excavation, the truth remains elusive. In the 1930s, archaeologist Alexander Keeler uncovered a dark chapter in its more recent history. Beneath one of the fallen stones, his team found the skeleton of a man from the 14th century, crushed while apparently trying to move one of the ancient monoliths. It wasn't part of the original story, but it added another strange layer to an already mysterious site. Avebury still holds its secrets and might continue to do so forever. New Grange. Well, this is one of the most beautiful and brain-blowing ancient monoliths. Built around 3200 BCE in Ireland's Boyne Valley, this Neolithic monument is older than the pyramids, and in some ways just as impressive. On the outside, it looks like a massive grassy dome. On the inside, it's a passage tomb with a perfectly aligned central chamber that lights up once a year. Every winter solstice, sunlight pierces a narrow roof box above the entrance and illuminates the chamber inside. It's a short, dazzling moment, but it proves the builders knew exactly what they were doing when it came to the movement of the sun. We don't know exactly what New Grange was for. It may have been a temple, a tomb, a place of cosmic worship, or something we can't even imagine. The swirling carvings on the stones suggest it held deep spiritual meaning. There are no written records exist, so all we have are stones, sunlight, and questions. But even with all the mystery, New Grange doesn't need words. It tells its story every solstice in light. It's amazing. Ring of Brodgar. On the wind-whipped Orkney Islands in northern Scotland, a wide circle of towering stones quietly defies time. This is the Ring of Brodgar, a monument that stood since around 2500 BCE. It was once made up of 60 stones. Today 36 still remain, rising between 7 and 15 feet tall. The ring stretches 341 feet across, making it one of the largest stone circles in the UK. Unlike some other prehistoric monuments, Brodgar doesn't come with a clear function. Nearby burial mounds suggest it may have been connected to funeral rituals or ancestor worship. Its location, surrounded by water and aligned with other ancient sites, hints at ceremonial use, perhaps seasonal rites or astronomical observations. No one carved explanations into these stones, and we're left to piece together their meaning from what's left. That silence is part of the power. Whatever the ceremonies were, they mattered deeply to the people who built this circle. It's not just an arrangement of rocks. It's a place that once echoed with meaning and still does, even if we can't translate it. What do you think about these unexplained ancient monoliths? Well, let us know. And as we always say, if you found this video interesting, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.